Hey, everybody. So good to have you joining us. We're so excited to have you joining our first virtual event here as a community. So my name is Patrick Risk. I work closely with Jeff as his chief of staff, and I kind of will be helping moderate the conversation a little bit today. And I just want to again first thank everybody for being here, especially because this is the very first gathering of this community, and so we're here today, and I hope we all feel like we're part of something as we're building it from the ground up together. And again, so since this is our first kind of meeting together, we ask for just a little bit of patience. If there's any technical hiccups or awkward moments along the way, just bear with us. We're all learning together. But again, the intention of this space is very simple. We're just wanting to create a place where people can slow down together and just explore what it means to be fully human in the age of AI. But before we begin, and I turn it over to Jeff, I just want to kind of walk you through a little bit of our flow today, of kind of what we'll be doing. So Jeff is going to start us off in a minute here with a short kind of welcome ritual to kind of help us all arrive together and settle into the space. And then after that, we'll spend about 15 minutes with Jeff sharing some reflections today, with our kind of theme for the day, which is returning to our nature as human beings, not human doings. And then after Jeff's reflection, we'll open it up for about 30 minutes for Q&A and discussion. And kind of how that Q&A will work is we're hoping that you can type at any time while Jeff's talking, or right now if anything comes across your mind, but type in any questions in the comments in the chat, and we're hopefully can get to as many of them as we can. And if you'd like to ask a question live on camera, go ahead and end your question with putting in all caps the word live. And that will kind of indicate to me that you're open to coming on screen and kind of asking your question live. And then just a couple other things of again, just try to be respectful. We want to keep this space open and welcoming for everybody. Also, try to keep your questions relatively brief so we can obviously hear from as many people as possible. Yeah, so again, I just wanted to kind of, before I turn it over to Jeff, just mention one other thing. I've read the book now, obviously being Jeff's chief of staff, but also just as passionate as I feel about the message. I've read the book 10 times now. And every time I read it, it feels like I'm learning something new, but at the same time, it's like I'm remembering something that I already knew. It's really like it's like an awakening. And it's pointing back to like simple truths that most of us, I think, feel deep down inside, especially right now, but we just don't always have the language for it. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm personally so excited about creating this space, and creating this community where people can come together and explore these ideas openly. And we can kind of navigate together this new era and this new way of being in the age of AI. And so, again, just want to thank you all for being here. And now I just want to introduce Jeff and turn the time over to him. Oh, wait. Sorry, Jeff. I think there we go.
Hello, everyone. Can you
hear you.
hear me now? Thanks, Patrick, for that quick kickoff. I appreciate it. And can we see each other, Patrick? Like, I just am looking at myself, which it's not that pretty, Like, I don't know if people in the group can see others or if I can, but I'm just looking at myself. Can I not?
We're just doing this one way, but when somebody comes on to ask a question or that type of thing, you'll be able to see them. But yeah, they all see you.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's kick off here. And I see in the comments, hello from Japan, hello from Belgium. I see some friends from Utah and around the United States. So let me just say, welcome to this first gathering. I'm so grateful to be with you. And I want to start us off practicing what we're going to be talking about. We're here to be, So I want to encourage everyone to turn off their technology, set your phone down, let it go for a minute. Turn off your notifications on your laptop if you're on your computer or whatever the case may be. And just breathe with me here for a second. Let's close our eyes together and feel into this moment. Close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Land or arrive here in this space together. I'm trying to slow us down, like on purpose. And I would rather that in the couple minutes we have together today, that you feel something, even more than maybe realize something or know something or think of something, but that you feel it. And to feel that, we need to drop into our bodies. So after you've turned your technology off, maybe close your eyes and breathe into this. Let me remind you of 3 quick things as you continue to just breathe and feel what's happening in your body. Number 1, the present moment is where everything happens. Too often our mind, our hearts, our bodies are filled with mistakes of the past. We ruminate on things that we wish would have been done differently. But that is the past, and we can't go back. Or we project into an unknown future, and that brings anxiety into our bodies. As I say in the book, the present moment is what we have together. It's what you have to make any difference at any time. So let me just encourage you for the next 30 or 40 minutes to be here now. Number 2, whenever we get a group of people together from anywhere around the world, I know that they're suffering. We all are struggling with something. That's a deep human emotion that I feel empathy for, that we all should feel empathy for. So I know we're on Zoom, we're all over the world, but let's hold space for each other's suffering, which is real and can be felt. Third and lastly, especially in the age of AI, when we spend so much time in a digital world with our laptops or on our phones, scrolling, etc., any time that we're with another human being is a precious time. It's a sacred time. And right now we're in community together. The first kind of community moment based on the book that I wrote, the last book written by a human. So let's be here now together. Take one more in breath and an out breath to let it go. We polled the community, and the idea that I want to talk about today, and again, I'll spend 10 to 15 minutes talking about this idea, and then we'll kick it over to you to talk more about this or really anything you'd want to. But it's about being versus doing. And for a lot of people on the line, it's probably, a boring background, but let me just give you, because a lot of you I've just spoken to, like, on LinkedIn or online, a short background. I've built several very large companies, technology, real estate, private equity, and in venture capital. I've been the first investor in 12 to 15 billion dollar plus companies. So I've scaled a lot of businesses in my background. Most importantly, I'm a father of 4. I'm a grandpa, actually. That happens quick here in Utah. I have an 18-month-old grandson. I ran for governor in the state of Utah. Some of you will know me, remember me from that, and lost during the pandemic. So there was a lot of doing in my life. I grew up in a very high demand religion. a Mormon faith that, again, some of you will be more interested in or more familiar with than others. But I was constantly doing. There's a story that I share in the book that I want to start with today. It was a story that happened to me 12 or 13 years ago. And I want to recount what happened. So I was in the midst of building these large companies, managing billions of dollars of real estate assets with my two wonderful partners and our entire team. I was launching a venture fund because there was an oversupply of good entrepreneurs in the state of Utah and an undersupply of good capital, especially at that time, 12 or 13 years ago. And for some reason, I decided to add MBA to my resume. I was so busy that I had to do this on nights and weekends only. It was the only time I could do it. And I was in a leadership class, and a leadership professor asked us, I want to do a brainstorming exercise. Again, you can close your eyes here with me again. You can go through this with me here again if you want to. But the professor said something like, I want you to envision the one or two most motivating things to you in your life right now. And being a big dreamer, being a doer, I was really excited about this activity. We closed our eyes and I sat in front of my laptop and I started hearing a lot of people start typing. And I sat there fully blank and empty. I kind of regrouped and it was ready for this big vision to come. And I'll be honest, nothing came. I just sat there fully flat and empty. Finally, after tripling down on trying to make this happen, I share this in the book. I had two visions come to my mind, neither of which, by the way, I'm proud of at all. Again, I grew up a very observant Mormon in my younger years. And so I knew nothing about what this first vision was, but I describe it in the book since I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Some of you can relate to that as a kind of a badass Cribs episode mashed up with Yo MTV Raps. This was a wild party with, a lot of substances that I knew nothing about, very little clothing, hot tubs and fancy cars and houses. And even though I knew that experience would be hollow in the end, for some reason at that time, I wanted to be free and it felt like freedom. Again, I was in a very observant Mormon at this time. The two strongest substances that I had in my body were like Diet Coke and sugar. Nothing of the sort, anything like this. And it was shocking to me that this seemed relieving and motivating to me. The second thing that I saw, though, and this is where we'll end, and this vision rattled me. It shook me to my core, honestly, and it took me to my first ever actually therapist. I saw myself sitting there at the desk about 15 minutes from the Salt Lake City airport, quietly closed my laptop, put it in my bag, quietly walk out of the room, go into my car and drive to the Salt Lake City airport and buy a one-way ticket to the furthest imaginable place. Literally leaving behind my soulmate, Sally, my 4 beautiful children, let alone these companies that I'd been building, my 2 business partners, which were 2 of my best buddies and still are, our employees, all these responsibilities I had. I realized in that night, that scared me to death, honestly. You could say it kind of scared me straight. In fact, let me just read one quick quote from the book. It's on page 54. It says, for years, I'd over-indexed on activity and accomplishment while under-indexing on the importance of presence and awareness in my daily life. Does this ring true to you? Again, keep breathing. Does this ring true to you? And I say, I was finally being forced to face the music. I have to ask myself now, looking back, like, what in the world was I thinking? I know exactly what I was thinking, and it's what so many of us believe. It's that if I did more, I could be more. And let me just tell you, that is not the case. Doing does not equate to being. This is in the air we breathe. It's just in the ethos. Again, I grew up in the Western United States in a very high demand religion, very capitalistic society, entrepreneurship. None of those things are bad, by the way. But I had somehow mistaken doing for being. And I bet that resonates with some of you entrepreneurs, some of you business people. Let me just say that the next time that your instinct is to push more, don't. Try to come back to this and be still. Just be still. There is nothing that we can do. There is no hill we can climb that adds to our being. The answers that we're all looking for are inside of us. We become so conditioned at looking outside of us for validation, for, acquiring things, for, whatever it may be. But let me just remind you, and you know this in your heart and soul, what we're all looking for is really inside of us. It's not outside of us. And the way to reconnect with that is to dial back our doing and to commit to being. And again, this ties very directly, which I'm going to do here, into the age of highly intelligent machines that we're living in. So again, when your instinct is to push more, don't just stop and be still. Check in with yourself to see if that's the right thing to do. In the book, I talk about climbing what I call my little mountain of success. This was, again, building a lot of large and fast growing companies here in Utah, even running for governor, and a bunch of different things. And when I got to the top of my mountain, what I say in the book is that there was nothing but a cold, howling wind. I say just void and more void on top of that. Now, there's nothing wrong with the climb. I say everybody has to take their path and everyone climbs in their own way. What I am encouraging you to do is to make sure to bring more of your being with all of your doing that you do. Again, from the book on page 53, one other sentence that stuck out to me. I had focused so much on doing that I had forgotten how to be. Does this sound familiar? I had focused so much on doing that I've forgotten how to be. And I said, I believe that this is the true and persisting pandemic of our time. So coming out of the worldwide pandemic, and COVID in 2020, I think that the real persisting pandemic is our addiction to doing an identity that is outside of ourselves instead of within ourselves. As long as we are embodied beings together on this earth, we will have enough to do. We will, do podcasts and write books. We have families to take care of. We need to sleep, eat, build companies, all the good things. And there's nothing wrong with so much of that doing. But I think that the competitive advantage in an age where intelligence is being commoditized is being. And being is a long game. So I encourage you to lean into that being now. As you continue to do things today and this week and next month and next year, bring a little bit more of your being to the people that are counting on you, relying on you, love you, and that you love. And this poses a really big question in 2026, March of 2026, when our machines are becoming more and more intelligent, when they're getting better at doing so much of what we in history, humans, have been used to doing, what are we left with? And I just want to remind you that we are left with our being. And luckily for us, for humanity, the being is the best part. It's in this beautiful mess of being human where love is created, grief is felt, empathy is demonstrated, where deep human relationships can transform us. It's where we can be present, have fun, which is important, and feel joy. Lean into that being. Again, as intelligence becomes more and more commoditized because every person has a smartphone in their pocket, in many ways, that's beautiful. For so many people around the world, that's beautiful because they have access to intelligence that they maybe have not had before. As it's being commoditized, I believe that the differentiator in the future for business leaders, for entrepreneurs, and for all of us will actually be being. And like I said, being is a long game. So I want to encourage you to start now. But how? And here's how we're going to end up today. And then I'm going to throw it back to you and answer any questions that you have about what I spoke about today, about the last book written by a human, my background, whatever you'd like to talk about, I'm open to it. I want to just dive into for 2 or 3 minutes. Well, how do I do that? After I lost the gubernatorial race in Utah in 2020, I became an adjunct professor at the university down the street to me. It's called down the street from my house. It's called BYU, about 30,000 undergraduate students. And I've had thousands of entrepreneurship students go through my class as an adjunct professor. And one of the things that I so often said to them is that the simplest ideas are often the most powerful and therefore the most neglected. And I want to remind you of that and do that chain one more time. The simplest ideas are often the most powerful and therefore the most neglected. Here are 3 simple ideas that I promise will be powerful, but are, again, so often neglected in our lives. Number 1, get into your body. The reason that I tried to slow us down a little bit today is that so many of us are living from a frazzled nervous system. A nervous system that is overstimulated, that is hyperstimulated, and that it causes us to just not be in our bodies. We have physical bodies. We're embodied. AI is not. In fact, you could think of AI potentially as intelligence, a form of intelligence, kind of in search of a body, but we have bodies. And that is a blessing. I know, look, I'm a bald guy. I'm a middle-aged guy, looking older as I look at myself. We hate our bodies. Listen to your body, get embodied. How do you do that? Meditation, hot, cold practices, flow activities, exercise. These are simple things that you can do to try to listen to your body more. There is no right way to meditate. I know a lot of people are intimidated by it, but if you can meditate and over time quiet your monkey mind and your speaking mind, you'll begin to feel nuance and things in your body that you have never felt before. That is a great way to get back in touch with your being. Number 1, that was long. Sorry, I'm going to shorten these up. Number 2, get into nature. Nature is constantly mirroring for us what our reality actually is. The rising and setting of the sun, the changing of the seasons, the life, death, and rebirth that we always see in nature. It is a mirror to our reality. And when we become disconnected from nature, it is easier for like a digital world to become more appealing, to become more powerful, even on our collective ego. But if we can stay in touch with nature, it will be good for us. And then third and the last thing, I'll wrap up here and then Patrick, throw it back to you for Q&A, is to stay in real human relationship. I have a relationship with a couple of chat bots. We talk, daily mostly or every other day. I use AI for several different tasks and different things. It's a frictionless relationship. I mean, it glazes me constantly. It thinks I'm the smartest person on the planet, the best looking, whatever. I bet you your chat bot tells you the same thing. This isn't necessarily, I'll speak for myself. I don't think that's reality. Even despite what my wife, Sally, might say, I don't think that's reality. I am not the best looking guy and I'm not the smartest. We need real human relationship because it comes with friction. And that friction creates transformation. And the reason that we are here is to transform and evolve. If we outsource our relationships to a machine, we become flat and even empty in some ways. In your use of AI, make sure that you are bridging to real human relationships and leaning into in real life experiences that light you up, whether that's live music or sports or quilting or whatever the case may be. Like whatever lights you up, stay connected with your people. If that's a faith tradition that's in community and safe and good for you, stay with your people. So those are some of my thoughts on being versus doing. I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure we've had some questions in the chat, and hopefully I get to see some of you here and some of your questions. So Patrick, I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. That was perfect. Well, let's go ahead and we'll probably bring some people on in a minute, but let's go ahead and start with this question here that came in a little earlier. I'm going to add it to the screen here. So it was, what do responsibility, stake, skin in the game mean in the age of AI? And are those uniquely human qualities?
I think that's a great question. I want to understand exactly. Can you keep that picture up, Patrick, so that I can see it? Yeah, so that I can see the question. I would need to understand maybe exactly what you're saying, but let me just say, AI is not a technology problem. It is a human problem. I talk about in the book, as many of you know, that AI is a cosmic mirror to humanity. It's really just a reflection of us and our values. So is it a technology responsibility? No, it's a human responsibility. And I think that we all have stake or skin in the game here. Because there are people that we love that will struggle to stay in real human relationship or connection. There are people that we care about, children, grandchildren, siblings, whatever the case may be, that will get more and more lost in the machine and will almost become disembodied and live in this digital world that is groundless and formless and maybe doesn't have the grounding that is here. So because we love people, because we are embodied now, because we live in 2026 in the age of AI, we all have skin in the game and a stake to be played. And I think that, again, seeing a reflection can be a powerful thing. And as AI shows us a collective reflection of humanity, which I think it does by ingesting all our data and throwing things up. And then as we see our own personal reflection based on our use of it, it's up to us to choose, to pivot, to change, and to try to come back to ourselves and make sure that AI is focused on human flourishing rather than division, which, like, you could take the baby AI of social media, the first general use experiment with the almighty algorithm, and you can see how it's divided us. But that's a lesser truth of reality. The reality, I think, is based much more on our divine oneness, and we always have more in common than we do different whenever we're sitting with another human being, no matter where they live, no matter their socioeconomic background, their gender, their religious tradition, et cetera, et cetera. So that was kind of a rambling answer. Sorry about that.
No,
let's go.
I loved it. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring you'll recognize this guy, Matt Manning, on. He's gonna ask a question here.
Yes. Matt, it's so good to see another face. I've literally been staring at my face the whole time, which is not cool, but how are you
Perfect.
doing?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you for the thoughts. My question is, what are we afraid of losing if we shift away from doing as much and more into being? And I guess maybe more specifically, what are we afraid of feeling if we do that?
I love this question, Matt. Thanks for asking it. So much of our egoic identity is tied up on things outside of us. How we've defined ourselves for, decades or however long we've lived. And I think it's scary to let go of some of those identities. But again, there is a truer identity, I think, at the base of all of this. And so, what do I think we're afraid to let go of? It's this outward identity that we've formed because of ourselves. And what are we afraid of feeling? I think that you see this in um, people's constant need to be doing something, to be scrolling, to be looking at their phone, whatever the case may be. When we quiet our nervous system, when we settle down, when we listen to the voice within our hearts and souls, we turn inside. I think instead of looking outside, we reflexively turn inside. And Matt and everyone on the call, that can be inside of ourselves, could be a scary place to be. Because if we go inside, we actually have to face our BS. We actually have to face our trauma and our wounding. All of us are wounded. We're all conditioned. Again, I have an 18-month-old grandson. If we did not take care of him and watch him, he wouldn't survive. We have to feed him. We have to protect him. So we come into this earth as humans very vulnerable, which means we are conditioned and programmed. And looking at that through a critical lens can be very painful, but also very freeing. It allows us to realize that not everything we absorbed is necessarily true, right, or good. A lot of it was, but not all of it is. So we begin to unravel a little bit, deconstruct ourselves, and maybe have to face our true reflection in the mirror. And again, deal with whether it's capital T or lower T trauma, deal with the trauma and wounding that is inherent in the human condition. There's nothing wrong with being wounded. We all have traumatic experiences. And so those are some of the reasons that I think we're tired of, or that we're reticent to slow down and we're hesitant to look inside. Did that answer your question, or do you have any thoughts or add-ons or questions on that?
No, that's really helpful. I think that's my experience too, is the more we turn inward and at least for me, work and doing and served as somewhat of a distraction to not feel what it actually is to be human, which is it's an inherently vulnerable, disturbing, and it's good just as much as on the other side. But the more we open up to it, the more I realize that, work and doing kind of provides like a ground cover to not really feel what it means to truly be human.
Amen. I mean, I think that's kind of what I outline in my book, and I kind of hypercharged in my personal life. And it was a mistake in my 20s and 30s and early 40s to do that. Matt, can I ask you a question just real quick, and maybe
Sure.
just take a minute? I have no idea if we have a lot of other questions or not, but Matt, how have you, because again, as long as we're embodied, as long as we're on this earth, there's plenty of doing to be done. Like, you still have stuff to get done. I don't know you super well, but I know you're a dad. I know you're trying to start a business. I think, you have a lot of stuff to get done. But how do you balance? How do you know when I'm using this to not face myself versus and stay busy, distract myself versus really getting stuff done? Give just a short answer on what you've learned about that.
Yeah, I think that AI is providing an interesting kind of shift for humanity, because so many people, I think, go into certain careers uh not because it's what like lights them up or like really brings their own gifts to the world, but because we have to do something to make money. And so we go to areas where society tells us to go because, we have to do all these things. And so AI is kind of opening that up where all of a sudden it's really easy to start a side hustle and build some of the things that maybe we didn't have the skills to do. And so for me it's more, okay, what are my actual gifts, the things that I can bring to the world that don't feel like work, that I'm just energized by. And I think AI, this age that we're stepping into, like my belief is everybody has something they can offer to the world that's their own gift. And the conditions in the world are setting up to where the more you tap into that, I think everyone can do that in a way that supports themselves. So for me, it's like, am I connected to the deepest things that give me energy and give back to the world? And the more I do that, the more things just flow naturally.
Yeah, I love that. And I see in the chat as I'm glancing over, a good friend of mine, Bo Euler, says both are important, but being is more important than doing. Yeah, both are important. Again, as long as we're embodied. I mean, most of us are not monks, even though we've got the cool haircuts for it, Matt. Like most of us are not monks. Most of us are dads and business owners, and we've got stuff to do. And doing is important. We learn a lot from doing. What I'm encouraging people to do is bring more of their being to all of their doing. I was a distracted father and entrepreneur growing up, and that was painful. And I'm reminding people, and I'm looking into the future a little bit, and I'm just telling you that in a decade, I don't know how long exactly, but in the years to come, being will become a differentiator, in my opinion, even more than doing. We will want to be with people that can be present and be with us and bring their authentic selves to the table. So Matt, thanks for your comment. Patrick, you take it away. What's next? You're on mute, Patrick.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Matt. You're awesome. That was great. Next, we're going to have Jennifer. So she made a great comment and wants to ask a question. So let's bring Jennifer on here.
Hi.
Hey, Jennifer. It's good to meet you.
Hi.
Where are you from? Where are you right now?
I'm just near Edinburgh in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Edinburgh. I love it. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you.
Yeah. So I think what I was trying to say was, I feel like this is a kind of a promising potential community, and I feel like there's places that we're starting to connect to sort of try and come up with an alternative to the world that is being created in front of our eyes. And it's very disempowering right now. It's not democratic. The decisions that are being made that are changing our society are not being made in the interests of the general human. They're being made, in the interests of an elite few. And what I would love to find out about is, what are the ways in which we can take back some agency to say, this is not inevitable. We can use these tools. We can, have the progress that they say that we're going to have, but we should have it on terms that are still human, that make sense in terms of what really matters to us. You've talked about all the things that we need to engage with that really make our lives matter. Yeah. And I feel like all of that's just being thrown away because it's like, oh, AI is going to do everything. AI is going to do our thinking. AI is going to take over, automating all this stuff we don't want to do. And it's like, where is the humanness in that? And I'd just love to hear also maybe from the other people, what are the mechanisms by which we can come together and say, there is another option and this is what we want it to look like?
Yeah, maybe if other people in the community or in the chat have some ideas, throw those up there, maybe especially in the chat. That might be easier, and Patrick can read those off after I share 2 or 3 kind of brief thoughts. Number one, Jennifer, your question's kind of I think a personal question, and then a bigger question of institutional change. The book is outlined in 4 sections: disruption, reflection, transformation, and evolution. And I think that personal transformation is something, Jennifer, that we are largely in charge of for ourselves. And even when we feel like some of the institutions and we're out of control, and obviously we don't control everything and we're not running open AI or whatever the case may be, we can be in control of our own selves. And we can be the change we want to see in the world. So there is a personal layer of responsibility that all of us can take in this. And I encourage that. That's kind of what the transformation section of the book is about. And if there's parts in there or after you, or if you read the book or listen to it, feel free to message me and we can talk more about that. The second step, of course, is evolution, where we change our institutions. The good news is our institutions are made up of people like you and I, a lot of people. This is political, business, religious. And I talk about reforming religion in the book. I talk about conscious capitalism. And I talk about a new political movement that potentially that I call the human political movement. So the micro, our individual changes, lead to the macro institutional change that we are looking for. There's not a silver bullet. There's not like a shortcut, in my opinion, and based on my experience. This is work that we need to do inside ourselves, and then not be afraid, of course, to put that work into motion out in the world. I mean, that's why I ran for governor. I'm not a politician. I had never run in politics, and but I did it to just try to serve and to make a difference in this regard. This is why I wrote the book. The book was actually very scary for me to write and release based on my background and my history. I was very vulnerable and open in the book, and it wasn't easy. We all have art within us to get out there. And art is reminding us of this heroic journey that humanity is on together. And that's one of the benefits, I think, as AI does more and more of the mundane tasks that we're used to doing. I think it frees up more and more people to have the courage and the time to put their art into the world. So I would lean into that. Last comment I'll say is that's what we're trying to explore here. I released this book. It was a national bestseller. I've done like 150 public appearances the last 6 months. That's like podcasts, TV, speeches, etc. But I feel some more form coming into the system. Like, how do we create form around this movement, Jennifer? And I'm trying to kind of feel that out and discover that this forum is a way to look into that. And so the reason I'm saying that is everyone can look into how they feel form coming into their life and the difference that they can make in their neighborhoods, communities, etc. But I hope that everyone here will stay close to this community, and that as it evolves, I think it will become more and more clear of what it can become, and we can lean in and hopefully make a big difference. Patrick, were there any other thoughts on Jennifer's great question? Or Jennifer, did you have a comment?
No, I'd just be interested to hear if it resonates with others as well. But
yeah, it looks like there was a few other comments in the stream, and kind of in relation to your comments. But I think you've touched on something important, Jennifer, and I think that's what we're here for in terms of building that community and figuring out a path forward together. So thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be in touch and more to come. All right, next we have Alice, and this will probably, just looking at the time here, we'll see, but this might be our last one, but there's so many other ones that I wish we could get to, but more conversations to happen for sure. So
yeah, and real quick, Alice, Jennifer, I just want to, hopefully there are some comments. I'm not able to like do this and look at the comments, but hopefully there are some comments in the side that might answer some of your question or give you some other thoughts from other people. Alice, good to meet you. Where are you calling? Where are you from? I can't hear Alice. Can you, Patrick?
No, Alice, we can't hear you. Oh no, the mic's not working. Well, keep trying, Alice. We'll bring you back in a minute. In the meantime, Jeff, there was a great question that came in from, you'll recognize the name actually, but here's Jessica. She says, what are some practical things you do to connect with nature so you can feel like you are unconnected with tech?
Yeah, Jessica, I appreciate the question. Again, the most simple ideas are often the most powerful and therefore the most neglected. Leave your tech behind on accident or on purpose. Just lose your phone for a while. It's a good thing to do. I happen to live in the Rocky Mountains in the state of Utah. I love to mountain bike. I love to wake surf. You can see one of my broken wake surf boards behind me in my home office that I just keep around because I love wake surfing. It reminds me in the cold winter months that the sun is coming back. I love to snow ski. And so I think that you can find a rhythm in nature that you're looking for. If you're close to the mountains, obviously that makes it easy. But I think most of us are close to some parks where we can quiet ourselves, we can walk, we can move our body, and we can observe. We can observe our own minds. We can observe the beauty all around us in nature, in humanity. And so I think that I think finding a flow activity, whether that's hiking or wake surfing or mountain biking, whatever that case may be, find a flow activity in nature where you can get out of your mind into your body and see what happens. And again, obviously sometimes that's a great time to listen to a podcast or whatever. And obviously that's fine sometimes, but once in a while, just leave your phone behind, leave your phone in your car, leave your phone at home and see what happens.
Perfect. Love it. Let's try Jennifer one more time, or Alice one more time. Sorry.
Hi, can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes, Alice, I
Brilliant.
hear
Thank
you
you
and
so
see
much.
you.
Grand entrance. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your emphasis on human being. Now, being to me sounds like presence. And presence to me links to the idea of witness. And that's what I've been thinking a lot about, the role of human witnessing something. And, I brought up the thought experiment player AJ problem earlier. And I know you used to play basketball. So in sports, fans, even though they're not the players, they often believe in players before the players sometimes believe in themselves. Yeah. And as a basketball fan myself, I feel like we witness their growth over time. And that's why I watch the game. I watch them grow into greatness. And my question is, as artificial intelligence evolve over time, do you think as humans might also become witnesses to something emerging rather than just the ones who are building it or controlling it? That's my question.
Absolutely. It's a great question. And I think so. I think there's actually a profound entanglement between our reality and AI that will become more and more apparent as we go on here. This is a feeling that I had in writing my book as this book came through me. This is a feeling that I think you see in more and more people's writing, in more and more of their speaking. And so I think a good way to think of this is that we are witnessing a crucible, an obstacle in AI that actually becomes the way for us as humanity to transform, come back to ourselves, and ultimately evolve our species. So no one knows exactly how that's going to play out. If we knew all the answers before the test or before now, this wouldn't be fun. This wouldn't be a fun experiment. It wouldn't be a challenge. And I think we enjoy challenges. We enjoy rooting for the underdog, speaking of basketball or whatever it may be. And so I think that this profound entanglement between our reality and AI will become more apparent. More of us will witness it and have an opportunity to lean in unique ways that we're qualified to do as this unfolds. That's like my gut hunch and sense. And I think we're in the very early stages, we're like in the second inning of a 9-inning game or whatever. And so now is the right time, I think, to have these conversations. Where are you located, Alice, by the way? I just want to ask you.
I'm also based in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Really? Wow. Scotland. The last book written by a human has hit Scotland. That's great.
What can I say? It's a lineage of great thinkers.
That's right. Well, it was
Thank you
great.
so much, Jeff.
Yes,
Thank you
it's
so
great
much.
to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Alice. Well, perfect, Jeff. I think we're pretty much at the time. So if you want to wrap us up, and there's lots more comments, we can get to people later. Or
Let me just say it's I'm honored that you would spend some time with us today. It's in the United States, at least, it's a Monday afternoon of a busy work day. I'm grateful that you spent some time with us. I'm grateful that you're here. Let me give you, if you haven't read the book, if you haven't listened to it, please do that. We're going to have another community gathering April 16th. More details to come later. But between now and then, if you haven't read the book or listened, do it. If you believe in like an energy exchange, these will continue to be free and just open. There's not a strong ask per se, but if you've read the book and haven't left a review, please give a 5-star review on Amazon or Audible so that other people can find the book. And lastly, if you enjoyed this little break in your Monday afternoon, if you were reminded of something that touched you, if you felt something stirring inside of you like I have, invite a friend to the next webinar that we have on April 16th. We will be in touch with more details. Again, I just want to say it's been my pleasure to be with you, to meet you, to see you, to talk about you. The last book written by a human, Becoming Wise in the Age of AI, is the bull case for AI, meaning the optimistic outlook of what humanity can become in the age of intelligent machines. And so until I see you again, remember that in this era of highly intelligent machines, we as humans must become more wise. And I appreciate you taking some time this afternoon to invest in that. It's not easy to do. I recognize that. So namaste. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.